All right, there we go. Okay, we're live. This is a MWO Leagues cast for Van Zelt Scrapyard Militia Scrapyard Showdown. The 7v7 Conquest League using Mixed Tech, both Clan and Inner Sphere. Main caster today is going to be Therax. I've got a brand new co-caster here with me today, Helix.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm going to turn you up a little bit there, probably. See. All right, there we go. Hopefully that comes through. Any issues, let me know in the chat because, yeah, I my overlays are a bit scuffed today, and what map are we going to? I don't have the rules open in front of me.
It should be Alpine Peaks for drop number 1.
Okay, Alpine Peaks. Well, that's gonna be interesting. They changed spawn locations on that, did they? There we go. Alpine Peaks. Why are they not alphabetical? There we go. I found Alpine Peaks. And
yeah, they did. They updated the spawns. They're a little bit closer to each other. They also moved the cap points around, which makes it very interesting to play at this light of tonnage.
yeah, what cap point did they move? They moved Gamma, right?
I think they shifted all of them a little bit.
Well, actually, I'm seeing here Theta's been moved on the screen. I pull up here. Theta's been moved on top of the mountain, Tryhard Mountain, and it looks to me like Sigma might have been moved as well. That's pretty close to where it was originally. Kappa's in a new location though. That's way out in the boonies. I don't know if I've ever been there, and I think Epsilon's been moved. It used to be Gulf 6. Now it's more junction of Fox 7, Fox 8, Gulf 7, Gulf 8. Hold on, I'll get you a link to the map room here real quick. I'm gonna DM you that. Now you can draw stuff on it, just Dream appropriate. You know what I mean.
Yeah, pretty much all the cap points, if I'm remembering correctly, all the cap points got moved except for Sigma. It makes the map play very interesting because of how far Sigma and Kappa are away from spawns. You have to extend a lot out there to go get those cap points, which, from what we've seen, teams are less likely to play those on this drop.
Yeah, I was thinking they might have moved Gamma initially. That's what I was thinking, to like just cluster a smaller section of the map. But instead, they've relocated them to be less in the open. Like the Gulf 7 Epsilon cap could be denied with ear large at like 1,500 meters or whatever. Theta was over in India 6, India 7 hole. It was kind of, could be denied if you had an angle, but you could also try to sneak that a little bit. Kappa used to be Juliet 8, I believe. Again, in the open, so you either rushed it from the start and got it, just like Epsilon, or it'd be very difficult to get later on. Or if the opposing team was trying to flip it, you could easily deny that. So these caps are going to be a bit more in cover. I'm concerned about where Theta's located and how it's going to play out. I'm not sure if I like it. I haven't actually scrimmed at all this week or anything, so I've not played these spawns yet.
It's definitely a power position. If you can get something up there with blue lasers, you can control a significant portion of the map. But your lines of sight towards the bottom side are still somewhat limited. So if you have somebody who's running down there, it's very hard to contest Sigma and Kappa. The two north caps, Epsilon and Gamma, can somewhat be contested from the middle.
Yeah, so we've got a lock on Team 1 and Team 2, it looks like, is about to lock. I'm going to switch that overlay over so I don't forget. Just waiting for one more player to ready up. Looks like they're doing 210 tons, both teams, taking the full tonnage, I assume. Give them a couple seconds here. They're probably doing some final instructions. There we go.
All right, here we go.
Oh, there we go. I think I'm muted there for a bit. Okay, we're getting in the drop. If there are audio issues or other stream issues, let me know. I'll try to fix them, but there's a limited amount that I can do there. But yeah, so we've got two veteran teams here with veteran players, but it's Division C. It's not the top of the league, so I'm a little bit interested to see what kind of strats that Bears Brawlers are going to bring in particular. They are known for having maybe a bit more variety in what they're doing. Some disorganized organization or organized disorganization, however you want to put that. On the other side, we've got Gear. Gear is, I think it's been rebranded a couple times. I don't know how much the team leaders are changed and all that, or how much the roster's changed, but they are a veteran team from Eastern Europe. They had a top 12 finish in Worlds a little while ago. Just going to grab some builds here quick before they get out of their spawns. I'm looking at Team 2, which would be Gear. Got a Javelin with Streak 2. Streaks are not banned on the Light Drop. We have Streaks on the Locust. More Streaks. Looks like a lot of Streaks here. ATMs on the Clan mechs. So they are pure Streak and ATM. Gonna check the builds.
On the other side, I'm seeing a lot of blue lasers and either machine guns or AP Gauss to back it up.
Okay, so Streaks have a low DPS. I don't know if they're actually viable or not. Guess we'll find out here. That's two very different strategies that are coming out here. I don't know how much scrimming, practicing that the teams have gotten. We're gonna have a fight here in a
We've got a
second.
fight here, yeah.
Okay, Incubus is running out. AP Gauss ER large, not the plasma cannons. And Incubus with machine guns, light machine guns, and ER large. Now they are running for their lives. The mechs on Sigma have been recalled. They were headed toward Kappa, it looked like. Blackjack does not have the speed to run away, so they need to put some damage in here and fast. They need to get a leg off, but it looks like they're about to lose their first mech. Incubus has been halved, goes down rear CT. Shadowcat probably needs to start kiting. Blackjack can't run away, so that's going to be the next victims, my bad. Although it looks like maybe the Incubus still has pursuit on them. On the opposing side,
he's down.
We have some mechs that are lagging behind a little bit. Those are probably the ATM mechs. Need to get in a little bit tighter. Blackjack's down, or about to go down. There we go. We do have a leg off on the Jenner. Leg him and leave him is what I would say. Try to keep kiting this out. Although Shadowcat is not kiting and is now stuck in a brawl at brawl range with those ear large AP Gauss. Oddly not being focused. I guess low DPS mech, no need to take it down right away.
The Javelin and a Piranha have traded legs here. Incubus is still hanging just in there. He'll go down.
Locust
Piranha will go
actually
down.
cooked its leg
Just
off.
the Locust.
Yeah. Those heat damage that took out that leg is what I'm seeing on my display. So two mechs went down on Gear, but otherwise it's a pretty decided win here, or decisive win. Adder, Cougar never really got into the optimal range, I don't think, with those ATMs, but they didn't need to. They have one halved mech, and the others are all in the 90s, so clear-cut win. Streaks beat ER large. Although if there had been some more kiting, a little bit of scouting, who knows? Things might have gone a little bit different, but obviously Bears Brawlers thought this would be a ranged match, and Gear decided not to play Peek and Poke Blue Laser, as we often see on Alpine Peaks in the heavier drops.
Yeah, this pretty well matches what I had seen through scrims this week. Is that there's not you want a couple of blue laser mechs, but if you bring all blue lasers, you'll get run over by a pushy deck like that. It was well executed by Gear. They focused targets. They all just picked them apart one at a time. One of those incubuses didn't even manage to get damage off. That is unfortunate.
Yeah, they were just very focused on turning and running, and they're not fast enough to get away. And they ran toward their team instead of at an angle where they could be covered. So um, they're not really buying their team time by running away. I'm gonna pull up the stats here, if that works. Okay, so different map this time. Next map is what exactly? I've got to pull that up here. I think it's going
It
to
is
series
series
scrapyard.
scrapyard. Yep.
Okay. I didn't make a scrim this week, but I did pay attention to the map strats a little. I gotta find that. There we go. All right, I've got the score up on my screen here from the. No, I don't. This is actually an incorrect. It's not pulling up. You know, MWS stats broke the last stream I did, so it looks like it's still broken. I don't know how to fix that in the moment. We'll go straight to map room, I guess. See what we can do here. And I need to update the scoreboard here with a win for Gear. All right, Series Metal Scrapyard. To me, it's still a new map. I have not played it very much at all. What can we talk about on this? Teams are spawning in one cluster. Teams are in another cluster. It gives a lot of cover, this map, in terms of potential brawl pathing. The channels can be a little bit long, but I don't know the sight lines well enough in order to like try and deny a push down a particular channel or to scout the push even. Jump jets again could be good for clearing these hills, but these hills aren't very steep, so you can run up them without jump jets. It's just you might be a little bit slowed down. But this is probably going to be brawl, would be my guess, just because of the nature of the terrain with these rolling hills and short sight lines, relatively short sight lines. Alternatively, this could be a Pop Tart fest because you can shoot from behind cover if you can set up like a Pop Tart concave, keep kiting the side that's getting pushed. It could be a lot of Pop Tarting here. Yep.
Yeah, the one notable thing with this map is the lighting is very dark, which can make pop tarting somewhat challenging depending on how much you've cranked your gamma and your brightness. Um, it can be very hard to visually identify targets against the random debris that's part of the map design. So brawling can be very effective because you can just if you're up close to somebody, it's much easier to identify targets.
Yeah, I would say that as well. Just the background heating as well seems to not necessarily work the best for thermals in my experience as well. But I haven't played this map a ton. With the little bit that I have, visibility is definitely an issue. Trying to cycle the vision modes to try and figure out how to spot things at the different ranges. And again, pop tarting with like an SN PPC, Stummel's PPC type setup or that type of thing, you're not going the full maximum range. That you're not necessarily going to have the same vision issues you would if you're trying to like ER large or ER PPC pop tart. Oh, it looks like teams are ready, so we'll just launch back in and see how they play it out. 315 on the tonnage for both teams. All right. Just waiting for the teams to get in. Might have to give them a second. It seemed like there was a little bit of a slower load the previous one, which makes sense. Things are. It's an it's a Oceanic team versus a Eastern European team, so they're probably playing. Actually, I didn't check servers. I guess they're on North American server then. That's probably the default server. It might be preferred actually. Oceanic to European connection is rather poor from my understanding. All right, teams are coming in. I'll run through the red guys again, which would be Gear still. They're still playing Team 2.
Command coming in.
Yep.
Capture and hold the
See.
resource points. Stop any hostiles that get in your way.
Shadowcat with heavy large and machine guns, so mid-range. Blackjack, binary mid-range. Heavy peep, light peep, Phoenix Hawk, so Pop Tart on that. Didn't catch the build on the Viper, but this looks a bit of Pop Tart and a bit of range kite.
Yeah, on the other side, I'm seeing very pushy. I've got a Splatapult. There's a Brawl Build Champion, Warthog, Commando DO3. Looks very much up close and personal on the 484 side.
I'm seeing a champion here, which is a bit of an interesting pick to me. I've heard it's potentially good, but I haven't really seen it. But the champion's running a brawl build, LBX-20, SRM-6, catapults, SRM-6, but they've got the roughneck with a mid-range vomit build. So they do have one mech that's going to try to sit in the back and peek and poke, but it's going to be running hot. So I don't know how that's going to work out for them. Caps are currently even 2-2. Here we have some mechs about to step on Theta, or they're avoiding stepping on Theta. Okay, they're not going to play the cap game is what they've decided here. They are going to be making a push. I don't know if their scouting is there and they don't have all their mechs gathered, so they're probably going to need to wait a little bit before starting their push, which gives the Pop-Tartars time to start putting out some damage, taking some percentages. Roughnecks at the front, trying to find an angle, I suppose. Looks like they got a decent burn on a Blackjack. Blackjack running a similar laser vomit mid-range build. The head is weak on Ivan the Terrible. I don't expect that to go down to headshot though. Bears Brawlers are a little bit clustered up in a pit right now. They need to sort themselves out and start doing something before they run out of armor on that Roughneck. We have an engagement here. It's a Locust versus a Viper and a Phoenix Hawk, not the engagement that you want to be taking as Bears Brawlers.
Very much overcommitted there, but he's pulled back successfully without losing too much.
Yeah, arm is orange armor, which is not great, but just need to start playing a little bit more cautious on that, perhaps. Team needs to make a move. Catapult is skylining and taking a fair bit of damage here. Side torso is open. It's moving slow enough. I think it's a light engine, not an extra light engine. But they're nowhere near range, and this push is not happening yet. Roughneck has an open side torso as well. Just kind of getting whittled down here a little bit. Somebody's gotten out ahead of the push. Champions going in, 60%, and they are down. Center torso clean kill. Never even gotten to range. Not looking good. Put it that way.
Yeah,
Catapults
they stalled
in.
out a little bit on that push.
Lost the side torso. Trying to shield the second one. Viper's taking a good hit here, but it's mostly in the rear. They might go down. Locust now has 4-on-1. Not going to be having fun. See if they can get out. They've got a whole bunch of their team distracted, but nobody's really able to take advantage of that from where Bear Brawlers are positioned currently. Locust is doing what they can. Viper still has not gone down. Locust's finally leg does go down. Adder's moving into range, but they're coming in one at a time, single file here. Bears Brawlers.
Yeah, it's too late at this point. The Warthog and the Phoenix Hawk are coming in now, but it's a little bit late to get involved in this fight.
Yeah, seems like the team just wasn't on the same page. A lot of their closer range mechs weren't going in at the same time. and their initial early trades were kind of outnumbered. Side flanks were not coordinating. Um,
That position on the top of the hill in Bravo 3 is very powerful from gear. You can cover a lot of the middle of the map, and it can be very hard for a deck to feel comfortable pushing into it,
yeah,
just because of how much range and how good of the lines of sight are.
yeah,
If you can commit a push onto it, it's not honestly too bad to push mechs down off the hill. You just need to be comfortable getting that push started, and it never felt like Bears Brawlers were in a position to get that going.
yeah. It seemed like a communication issue in terms of what they brought in their drop deck and how they executed it. Just a complete disconnect there.
It was well set up by gear though. They were keeping heads down,
Yeah,
winning good laser trades across the map. That blackjack was trading really well with the roughneck.
I don't even know. Firepower wise, I think the Roughneck has the edge there with two binaries, but it probably has a longer exposure time that it has to commit to in terms of like the mobility, rocking back and forth, all that. Um, Damage spread, uh, yeah, it's not. I don't know. There's some low numbers, but Bears Brawlers have some mechs with a higher damage number, others with a very low damage number. It's just it's more about movement than even focus fire, I would say. But they have enough damage that you would have kind of expected maybe a bit more kills, but there's a lot of low percentage mechs that were left on the field.
Yeah, it was closer than it would appear. From the kills that ended up, there was a lot of damage dealt to mechs. There just wasn't quite good enough focus to clean those kills up. And now we'll swap sides of this map, and we'll have the teams go at it from the other side.
Yeah. Okay, so let's pull that up on the big screen here. I can't pull up the stats, so we'll pull up the map. All right, what do we got to talk about here? It was an attempted push. What channels did they even use? It was it kind of went to Theta first, so that would have been like Delta 4, and then looped to Charlie 3, where they just kind of sat for a while before trying to make a push over what Charlie 2 into Bravo 2, kind of. So you're talking
Yeah, a
about
little bit.
this
This
Bravo
Bravo
3.
3 hill is a very good power position. You can stack up a couple mechs there, and you can watch pretty well just about everything for this side of the map. You'll have very good angles to cover Theta so that you can't have somebody squirrel it away from you. You can cover most of the good push lanes that'll come up uh, these trenches here.
So if you're trying to break this Bravo 3 position, which trenches would you use? Like this Charlie 4 one looks like a long sight line, right?
It is.
You wouldn't get spotted till you came around the bend, but that's still an entire grid worth of it's what 500 meters to come in. You could go
Yeah, it's
super wide, I suppose, use this Charlie 5 push path, but you're also coming a full grid down a straight line again, more or less, onto that Bravo 3. And I don't know the height on these on this Bravo 4 Charlie 4 hill, but I'm assuming um, it's going to be high enough that you don't really want to be pushing over it, skylining, and getting chewed up. Oh, teams are ready to go.
I think if you want to push, especially given where they were stacked up, they didn't really have time to rotate to the other side, to the Charlie 4 side. Um, I think you just need to call a push together as a team and accept that you're going to take a little damage closing the
Yeah,
distance.
which is
Because,
why the Roughneck is a interesting pick to me. It just doesn't seem to be on the same page as all the other mechs.
yeah, it's hard to it feels harder to push the hill than it is.
Okay.
Because if you have a good push deck built out, once you can close that distance, you can usually outtrade the guys who are playing that hill. It's just getting your team together to close that distance is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, and something to mention here that we haven't yet is that you're limited to one mech of each chassis, so you can't bring of each variant of a chassis, right? So you can actually bring 3 of the same chassis, but you can't bring 3 of the same variant in a drop. And you're also limited to 3 of a chassis overall in the match. So what that means is that you can't bring 3 of the SRM catapult C1, C1, A1, the SRM
A1.
bomber catapults. You can't bring 3 of them in the same drop. So you can bring 3 catapults, but there aren't 3 splat catapults that can run that 6 SRM 6 build. So it's hard to kind of coordinate a push in that regard. You're forced to use a variety of different mechs. You can't just stack the same one with the same speed with the same build. They have another catapult A1 here, but they can't run 2 of them in this drop or 3 of them in this drop, as you would see in something like the ISC, Intersphere Coalition. So right now, we've done a team swap. Did I? No, I didn't switch the overlay. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, Gear's in the blue for this one. We're looking at Bears Brawlers in the red right now. Looks like they brought the same drop deck.
Yeah,
Probably
I'm seeing
exactly the same.
mostly the same deck out of Gear as well. It looks to be again this very mid-range trade. A lot of laser vomit. Both the Crusader and the Phoenix Hawk are running like a light peep, heavy peep setup.
Okay, yeah. Pretty popular build, saves you a ton. It does desync your PPCs a little bit to deal with 1 heavy, 1 light instead of 2 standard, but I think there's also a difference in how minimum range is treated or something. I don't know. I didn't
This
keep
is
up on that
very
change.
interesting from 484. They're pushing all the way out around this outside trench here. I don't think Gear have quite spotted what
Well, they
is
haven't seen
happening
the
there.
push, but they've seen the lights scouting from that area, so they know they haven't seen any traders, so you know your opponents are brawling, and you've seen where the lights are, so that tells you a lot of where the main body's likely to be. They can infer where the push is coming from, is what I would say.
Yeah.
And they're making a counter rotation to that effect.
Kind of flipped the map, and 44 is playing the team one side again here.
Yeah, but this time they haven't taken any damage yet, Bears Brawlers, so they can still make it in without anyone open if they just keep doing this rotation. Now, Caps are ticking in a direction right now. They're about to flip Gamma though, but Sigma is going to be counter flipped. So this rotation has to eventually catch something. They can't just keep circling around the map because the Caps will get start to get low, even if they don't take damage.
They have resource point Gamma.
What's stretching out the opposing team? The slow mechs getting left behind, like with this NASCAR type situation. The Crusader only goes so fast.
You're
Blackjack
staying
as well, not the fastest
they're
mech.
staying pretty together, and now they've reclaimed this Bravo 3 hill again.
We've captured resource point Sigma.
Okay, we've got a stack here. I don't know if they have the intel to keep advancing. They would have to walk out into the open here when they come around this corner. So they are hesitating and waiting, probably trying to get that scout information, maybe even trying to get a back cap, but the commando's been spotted. Cap's continuing to tick.
Locust is swinging around the side. He's going to spot this hill position.
We have a move in toward the middle of the map, toward Theta. They're not going for Theta, but they're taking this push path, which I don't know if they've been spotted, but they are skylining on that Shadow Cat. That will tell where the movement is of the main body. But they are catching a Blackjack here. If they just keep pushing down this path, maybe they can get...
Ivan's about to be out in the open.
There we go. This is going to have to be the stand here for the Crusader Blackjack. They can't keep running. Their team needs to come in here for gear to help out with this push when the push is trying to cross the open. Roughneck's out front tanking. The rest of the team is lagging a little bit behind. Roughneck is bleeding armor. The Shadowcat and Vipe and Adder need to go. They can't just hang back. They do not have the range to sit back. They need to be following this Roughneck through so that they're not each taking damage as the weapons cool off to cycle again. And because the push kind of stalled out a bit, now the Crusaders made it out. Crusader Blackjack have moved an entire grid away from where they were when that push was starting. We've got
Yeah,
armor bleed for a little bit of return damage. Adder's starting to look a little bit weak from gear. JBV with the legs that are damaged on the Warthog Adder. But
it's a very good disengage from gear. They're just chasing them around in a circle, and
yep,
because of how tight gear has kept their ball and how
Shadowcat's in a bit of trouble. Leg is open. Locust
he's
is
getting
diving.
he's getting jumped.
Now Push is a little bit too strung out, and he's made it back to his team. That is meaningful damage. It's just how much damage is going to return on. Oh, they get the Crusader. Crusader goes down double-legged. Team is going to make it here. As the Commando and the Locust are creating chaos, drawing fire, the team is closing the gap. Locust is open center torso. Commando, it's a Commando. Think and run forever, it seems like. And the team has more or less made it in here. They are catching mechs now with their main body. It's going to be about percentages and focus fire right now. Commando goes down.
Shadowcat has been legged.
Shadowcat's legged in a pit. That's a very good sign. It's almost cooked to death as well, or rear CT, not sure which. Does go down, but the rest of the team has managed to disengage again. And now, with the Locust and the Commando down, that can't happen again with that chaotic distraction there. Roughneck goes down. Probably center torso would be my guess. Yes. So the damage is adding up here. Bears Brawlers took a fair bit of damage on trying to close repeatedly. Viper almost double-legged. Viper is legged. Single leg, double leg, down it goes. Catapult's in range now, finally gets in the fight. It's going to have an adder in its back while it's chasing the Phoenix Hawk. Can't really allow that. There we go, turns around. Adder is weak legs. Catapult has lost an arm.
Shadowcat's focusing the adder, but I don't think he's going to manage to get it before the adder gets around the corner. And now the Blackjack's picking up the harass on the
Blackjack's
top
in
of
the
the hill.
back. It's too slow to run away. It'd be a quick cleanup kill if they had the squad go after them. But they're going to continue to get whittled while that happens. They're again stuck in a valley and they're not pushing a specific direction. Champion open both front and rear CT. Blackjack now has an adder on it, but this drop is going to be going the way of gear.
Yeah, just got to clean up a couple of kills here. Adder's white beat up, goes down, does trade with the Blackjack, but now it's just a Shadowcat 1v3 here.
Yeah, and the caps are almost a 750 as well, so
not a lot he can do here.
no. Oh, gets a leg off the Viper. It's cooking though, I do believe, or 34%. Maybe that's just loses a leg.
Cooking.
We've gathered enough resources.
Self-destruct.
Will provide us huge tactical benefits.
Does not pick up the kill. It's that one was much closer though. This last drop, a lot of very wounded mechs here at the end. Although the caps were again running away in a specific direction that was unreversible at that point.
Yeah, it was much closer from Bears Brawlers there. Their initial push was pretty good, and Gear was doing a good job rotating away from it. And then they finally got a fight that they liked. They engaged, and they were actually winning that for a little while. And then it looked like their target focus kind of fell apart once their lights died. And Gear wasn't chasing the Commando and the Locust around in circles a little bit. And then once Gear disengaged again, it was very hard for Bears Brawlers to get back on top of them.
Yeah, we've got an adder here from Gear with almost 800 damage. That's a pretty remarkable damage total for a smaller mech that is a little bit ammunition limited as well. Could have been strike damage, I don't know. I need to update the scoreboard because I think I forgot to do that. Okay, what map are we headed toward now? I haven't found that
Forest
far.
Colony Snow.
Okay. Okay, what do we got on Forest Colony Snow? Well, it's a smaller map. We're looking at, 4 grids wide here from, well, maybe 5 from spawn to spawn if we're, but so this kind of tends to go a little bit more short range in the lighter drops, but here we have a heavier drop. I don't remember what the tonnage is, but I think it's somewhere we're going to see multiple assaults. That's what the tonnage I remember it being from previous scrims. So probably 420 sounds about right. Kappa's kind of in the open, a little bit hard to defend. You either rush it or you just deny it from your opponents. Probably a little bit easier to get as Team 1. Just
It is about even. Team 2
yeah.
has a much better sight line to deny it, but Team 1 does have a slightly faster path to it.
Yeah, but it's fairly easy to deny for both teams. With assaults, I think this is probably going to be a bit more trade with some mechs kind of doing the ridge peak hill humping. We could see some pop tarting as well, and I'm expecting to see some water play from at least Team 2 rotating a mech out toward like the Delta 3 island. Just kind of setting up a concave that includes the radio tower and then out to the boat, kind of give themselves a bit of a map control in that regard. With the tonnage, I don't really expect it to be brawling, but could be surprised.
It very much depends. There's good brawl strats that you can run, but it can be hard with the amount of tonnage, and because you can sit a couple of like a stalker or a battle master way back in your Team 2 spawn and have very good sight lines across most of the map, and it can be very hard to get pushed in on that. All right, both teams are locked. I think.
Okay, all right. So one thing I wanted to comment here quickly is that the tunnel that people know and remember on Forest Colony is a thing, and it's even more a thing in the snow version of the map because the pass over in Bravo 3, Charlie 3, that one is closed by an avalanche, so you can't make the pass transition there. So the tunnel is more of a forced thing if you're trying to do a push, although I think your successful pushes probably don't actually go in the tunnel. They just move toward the tunnel and then cut the opposing team off when they try to retreat when they see that you're going for the tunnel. That'd be my understanding of the map.
Yeah, it's the tunnel it's a very long rotation too, compared to how small this map is. So if you have people pushing the tunnel, they can end up very strung out from the rest of your team. Let's see, I see a bull shark, a Sleipnir, a sun spider, and a Hatamoto on the Team 1 side.
One is gear. Yeah. Okay. So like mid-range stuff. Yeah, AC5, Ultra 5, light PPC. There is a UAC 2 Sun Spider. That is a. Yeah. Okay. But that's a mid-range DACA push deck to me, as opposed to like a pure trade deck. Over on Bear's Brawler is going to grab some builds real quick. Roughneck with that mid-range Vomit. Stalker 4N, binaries again. So mid-range, not long range, which again with this map, it's sort of a bit closer range.
Yeah,
It's absolutely can do ER large, but you can also move up and take angles a little bit on the sides as opposed to just sitting in your spawn. Keep that range. We have a movement into the water from the DACA team. Looks like they're going to push water
both
side.
teams are pushing water. Interestingly, there's nobody up towards that spawn position or towards the radio tower, really. There's one medium up there, but an Arctic Wolf is not really a typical sniper mech.
The longbow had to stop on to get the cap, as nobody else is dedicated for it, or did a walkthrough cap, so now the longbow has been punished heavily for taking that cap, lost a side torso. Not the mech that should have been on the cap.
No, far too wide, and he's already down.
Yeah, return damage though.
Focused.
Pun Spider's open center torso took some heat damage on the leg as well. push has arrived, but it's not coordinated. Bears Brawlers are not all together. The Commando's getting in on them. Their own lights are sitting over on radio tower and still on a cap point, as if that mattered. This fight is not going to be decided by the caps. Stalker's already halved, 26%. The other Stalker from Bears Brawlers went down quick there, real quick. And had a Motor Cheese weak center torso, but other than that, the damage return is just not there. Sunspider is open center torso. Cyclops, open side torso. Yeah. Is this a disconnect? No, that Adder's shooting. The Adder's got a pair of ERPPCs they're trying to snipe, but what they're going to discover here in a second is that they don't have the ability to DPS what's going to be facing them. Viper, open side torso is about to go down. I forgot to pull up the... Whoops. Didn't push that button. Flea and Adder are the only two mechs left for Bears Brawlers. Flea doing its best to evade fire, does get legged, goes down instantly. Now it's an Adder versus a cooking Cyclops and various other mechs. Yeah, Cyclops power down in the open to prevent themselves from blowing up repeat. Bull Shark looking pretty fresh. Adder, well, goes down real fast. Combination of heat damage it looks like, and the Flea got the final blow there.
Command,
Yeah, that
confirming that we have
Gear's
possession
looking
of
in good
Gamma.
shape this drop. Bears Brawlers had a number of discoordinated, unforced errors, let's say.
Yeah, that was unfortunate that the way that they pushed got that longbow was very strung out behind, and so was the second stalker. That 4N is noticeably slower than the 7D, which left him pretty far behind the push. And that let the longbow and the stalker get strung out. So that they could be picked apart because they didn't have the cover of the ship that the roughneck and the second stalker had managed to get up into.
The issue is that the longbow went for the cap and needed to go for the cap. I think they even turned around to go back to it, which cost them, 20 seconds or something. So they're 20 seconds over to the right too far, so they don't have the cover of the boat when their other teammates have moved to the left and have the cover of the boat. So it's a 4v1 type peak situation there. Whereas if they hadn't been on the cap, they would have been with their teammates. It would have been 4v4 peeking each other boat to boat. Which again, I think the DAC is favored over the vomit in that type of a situation where there's a push potential. But at the same time, you just lost a longbow for nothing. And it's because there wasn't a different mech assigned to go for the cap.
Yeah, it's...
I'm just going to pop up something here and then... So I don't know if that's something that maybe they didn't plan out correctly in the strat in terms of who was going to take that cap, or making sure that all of the assaults knew that they needed to walk through the cap. I think it just a walk-through cap would have worked if they'd all gone through the cap single file. The ones exiting as the next one's entering. You flip the cap that way. You don't need to get a percentage on it. But everybody has to walk through the cap. Then you can't just have everybody walk past the cap, a longbow, turn around, run back onto the cap, and then try to get off of it, and they're dead. Like that, you don't necessarily have to send a light to get the cap, but the assaults have to walk through the cap. Or you have to accept that you're going to be behind on caps, which with a push deck, you don't necessarily have to care about caps initially up front, the same way that you do with a trade deck.
Yeah, it kind of, like, it almost feels like it wasn't intentionally a push deck, and that they decided to take some space and they ended up in a push situation.
Yeah. It's not trade though, because of the way they were positioning their mid-range vomit mechs, like they were all pushing into the water. They weren't leaving 1 or 2 out in Charlie 2 with more range and putting 2 out in Delta 3 with a mid-range type setup. They weren't setting up a concave, right? It's definitely some sort of a push. a mid-range slow push or something, but they're not doing a concave. They're actually just um, balling them all up and just continuing to plan to push past that boat is what I was reading it as the movement. You're not going to put 4 mechs on the island and just trade from there. You don't have enough spots to put 4 assault mechs on there, and you have no
Yeah,
concave for
that's
against a
pretty
brawl.
true.
That's a very dangerous situation. So yes, they weren't set up for what they ran into with that DACA push back, but their lights weren't there if they were planning to push. Um, so it's a strat or a discoordination in the drop, or yeah, I mean you take the same tools as what they brought, and I would come up with a different strategy than what I saw them play.
For sure. Yeah, I also think that the way that Gear was moving their lighter tonnage around gave them a lot more scouting and more map control, that they knew
Yeah.
where where the push was coming and that there was actually not much threat on the top of the map.
Yeah.
That one Arctic Wolf sniping with the ER peeps was not doing much from up on his perch, so they could kind of just leave him alone and focus the 4 guys in the water.
Yeah. And the collapse was just a lot faster with Gears mechs from Kappa collapsing toward boat versus the mechs that have been pushed off of Kappa, then trying to get over to the fight. They're showing up late to the fight just because of um, initial movement being pushed off of Kappa, like just a combination of issues that um, you know, I'm gonna try to just put a little bit more positive spin on it, I guess. But what I'm coming up with here is that it feels like these teams should have been in different divisions. And I really hope Bears are enjoying their season and they're having fun playing out their drops. I don't know if they have a consistent attendance because of the issues as an oceanic team where you don't necessarily have schedules that make it easy to practice on a weekday together. Um, this is a late night game for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe it is 9 or 10 p.m. Oceanic,
Yeah, depending where they are
depending.
located. Could even be midnight for like the New Zealand guys. So they're playing probably tired, which doesn't help. Um, and they're also playing without Mr. Bear. He's not here today for whatever reason. His schedule didn't allow him to attend. I don't know who their drop caller is though, but um, it's got some coordination issues that might indicate unfamiliar drop calling.
Possible, definitely feels a little disconnected for some of this, so that could explain some of it.
Not to take away from what Gear's doing. Gear's playing quite solid. A lot of these players have maybe not Div A experience. Some of them do, but World's top 12 experience for a number of these players. I believe Innova, JBV, and Mokar himself have all played um, World's top 12 in the last 3 years. Could be others on
I
the
think
team as well.
I think some of these drops have been closer than the final score would indicate.
Yeah,
Um, there's been a lot of damage put out by the 484 side. They just haven't quite been able to tighten it up and focus and get the
yeah.
kills cleaned up.
The last drop was a bit of a disaster. So hopefully this one ends up being a lot tighter and just avoid the little issues that snowball very fast when your opponents have a reasonably high skill level.
All right, starting on the team one side, I see 2 bull sharks. Looks like a bull shark 6 and a mako. I see a stone rhino, smag shot cicada, uh, mist lynx with missiles. We got
Bears brawlers are taking a mid-range DACA push here. I wonder if they're going to go water the way that Gear did in the previous drop. Looks like Gear's running back the same deck that they had the previous drop, just doing the same mid-range DACA push again. Probably also going water once more. Here we go, initial movement. Bears are moving toward the water dropship area. And this time their lights are going to be able to respond a little bit quicker. They've got a Flea, Mistlynx, and Cicada. So those mechs will be able to make faster movement. Bando's getting the back cap here for Gear, which means they're putting 2 mechs up toward the Kappa. They do manage to flip it. Nobody was in position to deny it. The Flea's actually running up the cap a little bit even. Or getting off and getting the scout.
We've captured resource point Sigma.
Now again,
I find it interesting how much these teams are playing the bottom side of the map. I've seen the top side played a lot more in the scrims that I've played.
Theta is controlled
yeah,
by the enemy.
water push is a classic strat, but yes, I believe I've seen more brawls around the tunnel area, not necessarily in the tunnel, but near that area, as opposed to water in the past couple of years. And we have Bears brawlers are backing off, dodging the strike. I hope they're not going to back too far. They do need to kind of maintain their sight lines and make sure they're trading as a team. Don't want to get into a 1v3 type trade situation with the amount of firepower that these assaults can all bring. Trades are looking pretty even.
The Viper in the middle here is taking a lot of damage crossing the open space in the water.
72%. They're getting Cicada's cooking, or something's going on with that Cicada. Did they get an ammo debt maybe? Viper's open center torso.
Possibly. If he isn't running case on his mag shots, one of them got crit out by the machine guns that could blow up.
Cicada's been halved. We know it's a light engine.
That Stone Rhino just exploded. He went down so fast.
Yeah, Bull Shark's next, already halved. Here's the push, and it's they're kind of peeking.
Peeking one at a time past the end of the ship into 4.
Yeah, a little bit of that. It's a focus fire issue. A lot of them were all shooting, but it's like a 6v3 type situation, because the lights were participating on the one side, the lights were not participating on the other. Bull Shark's powered down there for Ivor. Ivor's not going to destroy from heat or get picked. Powering back up. There are 3 lights now against the majority of the team still remaining for Gear, although they are heavily wounded. Flea goes down. Looks like somebody's stuck on the on the ship. Mistlynx got off of the ship, but gets picked rapidly. Rear CT from the looks of it. The Shadowcat, Shadowcat. That's already cooked to death. Heavily cooked before it got picked there. Very, very decisive. And that's the thing about the firepower on these AC-10, AC-5 light PPC assaults. Like, they've got like 30, 40 pinpoint damage, and it's got a quick cycle time. So if 3 of them click on your CT and they click a second time, that's it. Your assault mech's down. Very, very fast. Just the amount of near pinpoint damage that those mechs can put out in a very short period of time is very evident there in that situation.
Yeah, and something that I meant to bring up in the drop, but it kind of didn't get a chance because of how fast that fell apart there, was just the fact that Gear was running a lot more AC2s, AC5s, gave them a significant range advantage in the water, where these AC10 builds from the Stone Rhino and the Mako just couldn't take as long of trades towards Theta from the back of the ship, and it let Gear get a lot of early damage in.
Yeah, Cyclops is 700 damage there off that UAC 5 light PPC build. It's been a while since I've seen a Slipnir doing things in comp.
It's a very good mech for these drops. It can put out a lot of damage.
Well, that's it for the match for today. I don't know, you want to run over anything, or is that kind of just wrap it up here? Less than an hour from start to finish.
Yeah, that was a very quick match. I have to say, very well played to Gear. They executed very well on their strats. Focus fire was good. Just well played overall. 484 had a very good thoughts. Their execution was a little off, but the matches were closer than I think that final scoreline would really say. So
Yeah,
it's a
somewhat.
good game overall.
There's a couple where there were issues that snowballed very fast. It's a relatively small issue there with the longbow turning back for the cap. Not to like harp on it too much, but when you're up against a team that's as coordinated as Gear is showing here today, that kind of a minor issue where your mech is 20 seconds slow getting somewhere, your entire drop just falls apart instantly. It goes so fast there. And that's I think where the blowouts were happening. Just a relatively minor issue that against a lower division team wouldn't have been punished, but against Gear or anyone on like a Div B type footing, um, that's drop over right there.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the story of series as well. Was just the push timings weren't there. There was an idea, but it was just getting it to come together in the drops wasn't quite happening.
And that's where I'm going to go back again and mention that it's an Oceanic team. I don't know how easy it is for them to practice, to scrim together, or who they can even scrim against during a weekday. Like us European, North American players, our teams, we have a variety of different scrim partners available to us. So we can do a Wednesday evening, a Thursday evening. When you're doing Oceanic, there's only a couple of teams out there, and you can't just get home from work and log into your scrim. You don't have the same ability to practice as North America, Europe, I would say, from an outside perspective. Just a little bit tougher there, you know. So good showing for Gear. Congratulations on the win, and I think that wraps it up here for us. So casters today, Therax and Helix. I don't know, Helix, is this your first time?
It is. Yep.
Very first co-cast, cast in general. So welcome to the casting team, and I hope you stick around.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to cut the stream here, and 3, 2, there we go.